Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you 5 practical ways to massively improve your playback speed in any editing software. I will use DaVinci Resolve for demonstration purposes, but these tips apply to all general software like Premiere or Final Cut as well. If you've ever spent ages waiting for your rendering timeline to catch up, or you hear laptop fans screaming, or worst of all, you've lost work because your computer just couldn't handle a project, then this video is for you. I've tested these tips on multiple projects, from quick edits on my MacBook M1 to multi-terabyte shoots. They work and they've saved me countless hours of hair-pulling frustration. And if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Max. I'm a freelance videographer and editor working across the creator and branding space. So let's jump right into it. Let me walk you through the 5-step process to improve your playback speed. Number 1, optimizing your storage. Alright, let's start with some essentials first. As you might know, there's a difference between HDDs and SSDs. The hard disk drive, HDD, stores data on a spinning magnetic disk with a mechanical arm that reads and writes information. This design allows for larger storage and a lower cost, but it comes with slower performance, potential noise, and greater vulnerability to physical damage. A solid-state drive, SSD, on the other hand, uses something called flash memory. Yes, I looked it up. With no moving parts, resulting in a much faster data access, silent operation, and higher durability, though at a higher cost per storage unit. So in simple and short, HDDs are cost effective for bulk storage, while SSDs prioritize speed and reliability. If you own a laptop, then there's already an SSD inside. And if you own a PC tower, you could have both. And if you have stored files externally before, then you probably used an HDD, like if you, for example, have used a server, let's say. But if you're serious about editing, you need to ditch the HDDs and go straight to SSDs. Seriously, the difference isn't small. It's night and day. HDDs, they're cheap, sure, but when you're dragging around multi-gigabyte files, they can't hold up. Every timeline scrub, every playback hiccup, every render, it's painfully slow. SSDs, instant access, smooth playback, less waiting, less frustration. And if you're like me and went with the cheapest 500GB SSD option for your MacBook, just pair it with a fast external SSD. This works like a charm. No lag, no freezes, no screaming fans. Secondly, clear cache and manage storage. For this one, let's jump into DaVinci Resolve. So the first one is actually quite simple. It's basically getting rid of your cache files. Editing software create cache files to speed up rendering and playback. The thing is that then your storage becomes fuller and fuller and fuller, and sometimes you want to just clear it so that your laptop has enough working space again to properly function. Let me quickly show you how it's done. Basically, you can just open your project settings, and in here, if you scroll down in the master settings, you see cache file location. You can either create a dedicated folder, or DaVinci or your editing software of choice will create a cache file location for you. For me, it's under user, then my name, movies, and cache clip. Then if we click browse, it will open the Finder, and here you can see all of the different cache files already in it. Sometimes for bigger projects, that could mean multiple 100GB of used space. I recommend though, don't delete it while you're working on the project, because that could mean that then the editing software has some problems to identify some files or some processes. So rather either do it always after you finish a project or you closed down the project, or just do it occasionally. Like I personally, I think I do it every 2 months or so. And then to delete it, just right click, show in Finder, and in here, just select everything and then just normally delete it. And if I would delete it now, I would probably clear up some new space again. Next up is smart caching. So as I mentioned, cache files are created if DaVinci works for you to preview basically or pre-render existing clips. That could be effects, color grades, and so on. And there are 3 different ways to pre-render sections. If you go into playback and then here under render cache, you can see either the option none, smart, or user. User is great if you want precise control, and smart is basically you don't really need to do much, but DaVinci decides by itself what parts of your timeline needs rendering. And you see a red bar appearing above, and it slowly gets more blue. And if it's more blue, it means it's pre-rendered. And that helps for way smoother playback. So if I would, for example, start at the beginning, you can see it's kind of choppy still, because it's still red. It slowly gets blue. And if I go over the blue section and press play, the playback is kind of smooth, even though there are heavy text effects. So red means it's not rendered, blue is it's rendered, and green could mean it's only partially rendered, which you don't see here. And this one really helps with stuttering and your choppy timeline if the playback isn't smooth yet. If you just want really smooth playback in your timeline. It also then saves time when rendering the final export, since cached sections don't need to be recalculated. Number 4, disable heavy effects. This one is probably the simplest of all, and I love it. It's basically disabling heavy effects while you're still creating your rough timeline. So for demonstration purposes, let me quickly turn off the rendering cache again. And in the beginning here, for example, we have some adjustment layers stacked, which is like a zoom and some motion blur and like heavy text effects. And the playback is really choppy. So right now I didn't press space, but it still stopped because the playback is just so heavy. But if I just want to see if the edit flows, especially when it comes to subtitles or when it comes to just the pacing of clips being stacked after one another, I can just press Shift D. And as you can see here, this little icon at the very top turns from being colored with stars to being grayed out and with a red line through it. Basically that completely ignores all the color grading and all the fusion and all the other effects applied to your timeline. And now if I press play, I only see the log footage with no effects applied and the subtitles because I have the subtitles layer here on top. Playback is super smooth because I don't see effects. This can be really nice if you just want to go through your timeline and see how your music and sound effects and the overall edit feels like. And lastly, reduce playback resolution. I mean, all of the tips are kind of easy and straightforward. That's kind of the goal, to make the whole editing process more enjoyable and faster. And oftentimes, if we don't need to pixel peep, you don't really need the whole 4K resolution preview of your edit on the side. Especially if you have horizontal videos, oftentimes it's just like a small window up here. And even for a video that's probably then seen on a phone, I don't know if you like need the whole resolution all the time. If you want to align stuff like text, for example, that's great. Or if you want to color grade, then yeah, keep the full resolution. But if it's just for editing and feeling the pacing and the flow of the edit, what you can do is if you go to playback and then you can go to timeline playback resolution and instead using full, either choose half or quarter. And what that does, basically you can already see it here on the right side, it lowers the quality of the rendering cache, meaning that if you still export it like that, you still get the full 4K or whatever resolution you chose in the beginning, but just while working, you see a lower resolution, which can also tremendously help with your playback speed.